Allora, buonasera a tutti. Facciamo partire questo settimo appuntamento con il KanBar, che oggi avremo l'onore di avere con noi Eugene e Giulia from ALM Works, che sono i produttori della Abstractor che molti di voi conoscono e molti di voi non ancora, però la conosceranno a brevissimo. Come di tradizione, prima domanda. Avete tutti il vostro drink? Nelle ultime puntate la percentuale era del 40% che avevano il drink e molti, circa il 60%, o non l'avevano e stava rimediando o proprio non l'avevano. Quindi dopo 7 episodi la maggioranza ad oggi ce l'ha, anzi molto di più, perché ho messo la domanda in più di gente che si è pentita di non averlo l'ultima volta. Quindi molto positivo questo. Avanti, avanti, mancano 9 votanti.
Non posso votare io.
Tu
Che
no,
cavolo.
tu ce l'hai, tu non fai statistica. Ok, molto bene, molto bene. Allora, altra domandina veloce veloce. A quanti KanBar avete partecipato in totale? Tenete conto che questo è il settimo. Uno l'abbiamo saltato perché c'era il summit di Atlassian e quindi diciamo questa è la sesta edizione, quindi molti che sono alla prima edizione fa molto piacere. E poi abbiamo tre partecipanti che sono fedelissimi e li hanno fatti tutti quanti. Complimenti, applauso virtuale a voi che ci sopportate tutti i mercoledì sera. Non è cosa da poco. Allora, vado indietro. Allora, questa è l'agenda per oggi, dove io farò una breve introduzione. Oggi con me c'è Fabrizio, che è un nostro senior consultant che si è reso disponibile volontariamente a essere qui con noi a fare una breve presentazione di, diciamo, come la nostra esperienza con Structure. Dopodiché darò la parola a Eugene, che farà la presentazione su, diciamo, un po' di feature che già c'erano su Structure e le novità che hanno messo nella versione 6 che è appena stata rilasciata. Dopodiché vi promuoverò tutti a panelist e potremo fare, diciamo, le domande live condividendo il vostro drink. Se le domande vi vengono anche prima, vi chiederei di metterle sul Q&A, così li riusciamo a scorrerle e a farle dopo man mano. Poi tanto viene tracciato chi la fa e quando le risponderemo e saremo tutti in cam si vedranno. Questo è il percorso del mese di aprile, quindi Pasqua fatta, KanBar 6 con Easy Agile con Dan l'abbiamo fatto, la settimana scorsa c'è stato anche un webinar che ha fatto Roberto Giari sulle KPI e i metodi di collaborazione all'interno delle aziende. Oggi siamo qui con i team di ALM. Dopodiché mercoledì prossimo avremo con noi il professor Giovanni Corazza, che è anche il fondatore di Marconi Creative Institute, che presenterà come alcune pratiche di come dovremmo allenare la nostra mente per far sì che sia più creativa in un contesto che è cambiato molto da quello che conoscevamo prima del lockdown. Lui è un TEDx speaker, quindi è una persona che, diciamo, ha fatto tanti interventi e quello che le abbiamo chiesto è di dare il contributo su come, diciamo, può essere allenata la mente per essere, diciamo, più creativa in questo cambio, diciamo, drastico che abbiamo avuto in questo periodo. Dopodiché ci sarà il 6 maggio che ci sarà con noi Giovan Battista Presti, che è uno psicologo all'Università di Enna, Corè, che oltre a, diciamo, fare il suo ruolo accademico è anche un collaboratore dell'ospedale San Raffaele, dove ha seguito in questi mesi, diciamo questo mese e mezzo, 2, supporto a livello psicologico e comunque di lavoro di team dell'equipe medica, e con lui sarà un KanBar un po' diverso, quindi a tutti gli iscritti verrà mandato un form dove potranno fare delle domande da porre e fare discussione insieme a Nanni Presti. Le due tematiche saranno resilienza e flessibilità psicologica. Entrambe sono caratteristiche che tutti noi abbiamo, ma che dobbiamo allenare. Nanni Presti ci darà degli spunti su come allenare questa parte più psicologica di noi. Sabato scorso c'è stato Agile People Day, dove noi siamo stati sponsor, e quindi in un minuto vi faccio vedere cos'è successo in un evento che era pianificato che fosse a Varignana, a Bologna, e abbiamo comunque fatto online con 270 persone utilizzando solamente l'online. Un minuto velocissimo, questo è il riassunto di 8 ore online con 6 speech, 2 panel, una board Miro dove è successo di tutto per la parte di collaboration, però è qualcosa che diciamo con Agile Business Day stiamo sponsorizzando da diversi anni. Se volete seguire gli interventi sul canale Vimeo saranno comunque disponibili tutti quanti, quindi su Vimeo cercate Agile Business Day e troverete tutti gli speech di come si applica Agile con team di persone, quindi non legato alla parte business come diciamo con le pratiche, come avete sempre visto Agile Business Day, Agile People Day focalizzato proprio sulle persone. Ultime 2 domande. Vi siete già iscritti al KanBar 8 e 9?
Cliccare.
Avete ricevuto tutti quanti la mail, comunque la riceverete anche dopo oggi con tutti i riferimenti per registrarvi. Abbiamo un sacco di persone non ancora, ma che lo faranno, quindi sappiate che vi controllo, perché no, a parte gli scherzi, sono 2 interventi che non sono, diciamo, sulle pratiche, sui tool Atlassian, ma sono cose molto vicine a quello che stiamo vivendo, che facciamo tutti i giorni con i team, e quindi penso che possano essere molto interessanti come momento di condivisione per tutti quanti. 26. Siamo al 92% dei votanti, non era mai successo. Grazie e complimenti. Allora, ultima domanda prima di lasciare la parola a Fabrizio. Quanti di voi usano o conoscono JustRactor? Sì, e lo utilizzo, sì, ma ancora non lo usiamo, oppure no, non lo conosciamo. Ok. C'è un 50% che lo conosce e lo utilizza. So just for give you, Eugene, 50% of the attendee they know structure and they are using it. 24% they know structure, but they are not still using, and 25% they didn't know structure. So we have the full range of options.
Sounds great. I think we'll have a little bit for everyone.
Yeah, great. So, prima di questo ho rilanciato il video, non volevo farlo. Ho lanciato il video, non so perché è partito, quindi facciamo così. E a questo punto, before leave the presentation, I want to say thank you to Eugene and from Julia, that are both members of ALM Works, that are here with us tonight. So Eugene, you're based in Boston, is correct?
Yep.
Okay,
I'm
and
there.
Julia, you're from?
From St. Petersburg, Russia.
Yeah, perfect. So we are covering most of the world, so that's great. International KanBar.
Yep.
So I leave the word for a quick introduction to Fabrizio, that's here with us, and then Fabrizio leave the word to the team of ALM.
Ciao a tutti, buonasera, benvenuti al KanBar. Mi unisco un attimo ai ringraziamenti di Simone perché siete qua. Cercherò di tenere un'introduzione molto breve, tanto preferisco lasciare le parole a chi se ne intende veramente del prodotto Structure. Noi come business unit GetConnected, per noi è quasi un must have, quindi sapere che già tanti lo usano, magari tanti lo conoscono ma non lo stanno ancora utilizzando appieno, è un ottimo feedback, è un'ottima informazione. Structure per noi è sempre stato un prodotto essenziale, lo utilizziamo in tantissime realtà, su diversi clienti, è usatissimo sia per tutto l'aspetto di funzionalità tecniche che può dare, ma soprattutto per le soluzioni che si possono andare ad implementare. A tutti gli effetti è uno strumento integrato in Jira, e la parola integrato è estremamente importante perché legge e aggiorna sempre in real time i dati di Jira. Essenziale perché dà la possibilità di organizzare tutto quello che è attività e informazione che è presente su Jira in una struttura completamente diversa. Come tutti sapete, probabilmente Jira è un issue tracker che al suo interno può gestire delle attività, però normalmente come singola attività, al massimo con una piccola relazione parent-child e qualcosa di più. Con Structure invece posso andare a generare tutta una struttura più articolata. Questa struttura articolata e tutta la serie di feature ci permette a noi come consulenti di realizzare sui clienti delle soluzioni a tutti gli effetti completamente diverse. Quindi si va dalla parte di project management abbastanza spinta, andando a sfruttare anche tutte le opzioni e le feature come la possibilità di Gantt, la possibilità del team organization, potendo leggere anche gli sprint di Jira, tutto quello che riguarda il resource management. Quindi per l'allocazione delle persone, delle risorse, tutto in base a stime e quant'altro è stato inserito all'interno del sistema. Allo stesso tempo si può andare a scalare su soluzioni più articolate, fino ad arrivare anche alla parte di portfolio. Quanti di noi in questo momento, soprattutto i nostri clienti, stanno portando non solo la parte di project management, ma anche tutta la parte di portfolio management, sfruttando proprio quello che è Structure. Per fare questo ovviamente si va ad utilizzare quello che è il framework Jira, ma andando a utilizzare tante delle feature presenti in Structure, tra le quali la possibilità di creare automation che permettono di generare una struttura leggendo le informazioni di Jira e tutti i campi calcolati, raggruppamenti, tutta una serie di funzionalità che altrimenti necessiterebbero di un quantitativo industriale di plugin o di custom deploy. Tutto questo è presente all'interno di Structure e utilizziamo regolarmente con i clienti. Poi, come ha detto giustamente prima Eugene, molto spesso neanche i clienti stessi, forse neanche noi sappiamo tutte le potenzialità che ci sono dietro a questo prodotto, anche perché il prodotto non è solo Structure, ma è Structure Gantt, Structure Pages, per andare a leggere anche tutta la parte documentale. È a tutti gli effetti un ecosistema ampissimo, strettamente integrato con tutto quello che è l'environment Jira, ma anche Confluence. Lascio la parola quindi a Eugene, così ci sorprenderà e ci spiegherà un po' di introduzione a quello che è Structure per quelli che non lo conoscono e varie potenzialità che ci sono. Considerando che in questi tempi è uscito da poco Structure 6 su server, che porta una serie di funzionalità aggiuntive estremamente interessanti, tra le quali appunto la possibilità di scrivere dei valori in base a calcoli, formule che sono stati applicati all'interno della struttura. Grazie a tutti voi intanto, ci vediamo fra poco per le domande, intanto lascio la parola a Eugene e Giulia. Ciao!
All right. Shall we take over?
Of course, yes.
Fabrizio, thanks a lot. That was a great introduction, great
Thank
summary.
you.
Like I said, I understand Spanish, so I can understand a little bit of Italian. So I can follow, but I can't speak. I don't have any slides, so I prefer to just show how things work. And since Fabrizio already explained what the tool does, I want to show you how these things work in practice, give you some examples, and we're going to be focused on the new feature, but I also show you some of the things that kind of brought us there. So let me share my screen. It's going to be this one. Let me know if you can see my browser. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right, and I'll keep an eye on the chat just in case. All right, so as Fabrizio said, structure is a project management tool, and it's used primarily for running larger projects where you need to keep track of multiple teams, multiple tasks. But as we were building it, it was designed to be a very flexible tool. And you can think a little bit about it as a tool like Excel, like a spreadsheet on steroids. So it was not built for one specific application, for one specific process. It does support methodologies like SAFe, for example, at least to a large extent, and it's an essential part for SAFe implementations for many of our customers, but it was not built specifically for that. Instead, it offers you a number of different features that can help you basically get different things done. And so I wanted to start by going through some of the essential features, because without them, it will be hard to understand the benefit of the new one. And I want to start with the feature called automation that essentially allows you to build the hierarchy itself. So I want to illustrate how it works with a very common example. It's basically building the top-down view of your work, starting from, let's say, initiative level, then you go to epic, then to story, and then to subtask. I would say this is probably the most popular use case for all of our customers. And even though different companies have also some additional use cases, some different structures for team views, for sprint planning, or some other things like that, usually people have this big work breakdown structure anyway somewhere. So let's start by building a new structure. Again, for those who haven't used the tool before, I think this will be helpful. And I'll be quick, I'll jump through it, but I hope I'll manage to convey the idea. So, we can create as many structures as we want for different purposes. So let's create a new one. And by default, as you can see, the structure itself is empty. And we can start populating it with Jira tickets. We can do it manually by just finding some of the tickets and dragging and dropping them into our hierarchy. But it's not really, we can do it even, we can have the same issue multiple times in the same hierarchy, but it doesn't really help if you're running a huge project. So to help with those cases, we have the feature that is called automation that allows you to define certain rules based on which the structure is created. So let's see how it works in practice for the use case I described. As I've mentioned, we have some high-level features and they exist in a particular project in our case. And we want to start defining our structure to pull those in. So there are several types of what we call generators. These are special kind of processes that run and produce some content. And we can insert something into structure. We can pull in something that is linked. We can sort, we can filter, and we can group. In this case, we want to start by pulling in the tickets from a particular project. So we can either pick Agile board from which we want them, or we can, oops, I pressed the wrong button. We can pull in the results of a JQuery query, which is the most flexible way to do it. So let's start by pulling in our initiatives. So we have a portfolio level project where we keep the initiatives. And as you can see, as we create the rule, the structure gets populated by the results of the query. So it's basically like you can build these rules as in a toolbox. You pick the right things that you need and get some result, depending on the use case. So these initiatives, they have in our Jira some epics, which are linked to them with the Jira issue link. You can see it's implemented by a couple of epics. So our goal is to see these epics in our hierarchy. So to do that, we add another rule that will give us what is linked. So we can choose linked issues. We choose the link that we want to visualize and the direction. It's also a good idea to choose which levels this particular rule will take into account. So we only wanted to scan the top level, and you can see we got the epics pulled in. You can fully expand. The next step is to see the stories under the epics. Again, here we are using standard epic links from Jira and use structure to just visualize that. So we add another extender for epic links. We want stories under epics. We want this rule to run on level 2. And you can see we got the stories, and then we want the subtasks as well. So let's add another rule So again, by defining these different rules, we get certain results. And we also, since we're using Jira software, we usually use rank to prioritize things. So we may want to sort it by rank. And that will give us basically the representation that we have on Agile boards as well, but in structure. And we can combine multiple Agile boards, for example, in one big structure here. So this is how you build structures. There are also ways to group things by fields, and then you will get distribution of fields of issues by some field. But we won't go in there. We can actually probably provide some useful links to maybe some videos that give better overview of this functionality. But essentially, this is how you build structures. Once you have the structure ready, the other thing you want to see are some useful fields, some columns. And here is where structure offers quite a lot. So I created a special view which has a bunch of different columns. So you can show all kinds of data. You can show Jira data, like we have status here and assignee. And it's all, by the way, it's all editable. If it's an editable field in Jira, you can edit it right here. If it's added to the edit screen. And structure itself is actually also interactive, so you can create new issues right from here. So it's all interactive, and you can work with your Jira data from this interface. And again, it's all using Jira data. So when I change something in structure, I'm actually changing the Jira ticket. So custom fields and fields, important, useful because you can edit them, but structure actually brings you more abilities when it comes to showing different types of data. So the first really useful column is progress. It can be configured to be calculated based on time tracking, or maybe if you don't do that, you can use just resolution and let's say story points as weight. Or you can assign different percentages to different statuses, so it's configurable. And it's rolled up from the bottom to the top, so it can help you track progress across the entire hierarchy. So if we say, let's say we close this task, it's done. You can see the progress got recalculated for the entire hierarchy upwards. Then there are simple things like aggregation columns. For example, we can see here that story points are assigned to epics, to stories and subtasks, but not to epics and initiatives. But using this totals column, you can easily see that we have 137 story points inside this whole initiative. And you can aggregate any numeric field like that. All right, then I had an example with notes. Oh, but okay, I created it in another structure. So this is just a column that exists just in structure, where you can provide some additional comments for any ticket without actually changing the Jira tickets. So again, this is something that exists in structure. Another useful column we have is work logged column, and you can set for which period you want to calculate the amount of work that was logged, and by who, by individual user or group of users or project roles. And again, you can do the total. So for example, you can see how much work our admins team logged over the past year, and it can be aggregated all the way to the top. Another fairly recent, not so well-known feature is time and status. So again, another small thing that exists in structure only. You can choose to measure how much time you spend in a particular status, and you can choose also status categories if you want. So it can be helpful for understanding, for example, how much time you've spent bug fixing if you choose in progress and you choose to count returns only. So it will only count this time if the issue was reopened. So all kinds of metrics like that. Then there are some smaller auxiliary things like there is the index column that can give you this kind of nice index. You can see how many sub-items are in each issue. And then here's we're getting to the most important and the most powerful feature. We have the feature called formulas, which allows you to build Excel-like formulas in your structure. So you have access to, we've built our own language, which is called Expert, and it offers you a number of functions like logical functions, arithmetic functions, it has totals, it has averages, counts. You can click this question mark to quickly see the documentation, and you can see the list of available functions, but it's very similar to what you can do in Excel. You can also work with text, with dates, and you can build your own custom metrics depending on what you want. So here is, for example, weighted shortest job first, which takes into account priority, due date, number of voters and vouchers, the estimate, of course, and then it makes some calculation and gives you the result. And you can just get some numeric results. You can work with text, as I've mentioned, so you can pull some text attributes from one level of issues, push them to the next. And then you can build some nice looking columns like this one using wiki markup, because we support that as well. So you have all that power, and it's actually pretty visible already. So you can see them on the structures themselves. You can put structures on dashboards. Let's see if I have a nice one configured. You can also put structures into Confluence Pages. That's what a lot of our customers do. So you can have this kind of real-time report always available to you. And it actually remains interactive, so you can drill down as you look at it. And in Confluence, it looks exactly like that. And you can even, come on, page loading. You can even change things right from the gadget in Confluence or on the dashboard. So again, like I said, I can double click here and change the assignee, for example. This is still somewhat limiting because not everyone uses structure, and sometimes you want to use this data in some third-party app, or maybe you want to export it. We do have export to Excel, which will give you a nice Excel file with all the data calculated by structure. But sometimes you want to write things back into Jira, and we've heard that from many of our customers. And with version 6, we finally delivered the functionality that allows you to take some data from structure and write it into Jira. In this first version, we're mostly dealing with fields. So you can take any calculated, what we call attribute in structure, and map it to some Jira field, and basically update that field based on the value that you see in structure. So let's see how that works in practice. I have a couple of simple examples, but I think they're pretty representative. So the simplest one is probably, for example, rolling up values from some lower level to the higher level. So let me switch to an empty view so nothing distracts us. So we have story points, right? We've done our estimations on the story level, and as you can see, the epics don't have any. The epics don't have any values of their own. So what we want to do, we actually want to see those in Jira so that everyone who opens an epic can see it. So using this new feature, which is called Effectors, we can do exactly that. So first, there are several ways to do it. So first, let's create a formula which will give us what we want. And it's actually going to be a very simple formula. We just want to see the sum of story points. From the children. And this strict modifier for the sum just makes sure that we don't count the value of the issue itself. So we don't count it twice if there is some value there already. So let's click save for the formula. So we can see now that epics, they now have some values calculated by the formula. And these are the values that are aggregated from the lower levels, right? So if we, let's say, give change the number of story points here, you can see the formula result changes in real time. And again, like I think Fabrizio also mentioned, everything is in real time. Like you're actually looking at your real Jira data. There's no synchronization, there's no delay with those things. Okay, so let's create our effector that will write our formula results into Jira. So to do that, you add another type of generator called effector. Oh, sorry, we need to put focus on this root element first. As you can see, there is currently just one type, attribute to issue field. So here we can choose the attribute from which we want to write it. And you can see some recently used in columns, or just some other available attributes. In this case, we actually have this formula here, which we've just created. And we want to map it back to story points, right? Because that's, we take the story points values from lower level items from our stories and subtasks and want to write them back to epics. And another important parameter here is it allows us to limit which issues we actually want to change. In this particular case, we just want to update the epics. Let's say we don't want to change initiatives because maybe we don't care about story points estimate at that level already. So here we can just write a JQuery query that will limit which issues we're going to update. So it's going to be epics. And of course, it's only applied to the structure that we're looking at. It's not going to change something outside. We can choose if we want to send email notifications or not for these changes. And then we can either just save it or we can save it and run it right away. It will give us this nice summary window. Here you can choose whether you want to preview the expected results or not. And I guess it's most of the time it's a good idea to take a quick look. So we click run, it pre-calculates what's going to be changed and what new values will be set. And you can see here the list of issues that will be changed. And you can see that story points for them will be set to these new values. If you have long list, there will be pagination at the bottom, so you can go through pages. And you can either pick the ones that you want to update, or you can apply to all, or you can dismiss. So let's click apply. Oh, and as it starts running, it can be a large structure. You may want to hide the screen while it's running and minimize it. Well, that was pretty fast. You can see what's been changed by clicking view history. So there is the full log of all changes for each individual run, but you can also see the summary of all the runs. Let's take a look at that in a second. But basically, first, let's see the results here. Now you can see that our epics actually have the values now, the story points value, and it's just a Jira field, story points field, but we updated it using Effector. There is a page that allows us to manage our effectors. You can access it from here, or you can actually go to structure menu and access them from here. And here you will see the list of all the recent executions of effectors. Like if you click it, you will go back to the structure. And then you have the revert button that will revert the actions of this effector if you want to. It will basically remove all the values that we got. And so effectors just run once you run them. It's not gonna update things continuously. So if we change, let's say here, change the value to 12, you can see it's 51, but it's still 54. So we can execute effector once again when we feel it's time. Maybe we're fine not reviewing, just run it. And I can minimize it as it runs, and I'll see the little progress bar down here. So we can know the status, and I can click the link to go to the management page to see the results. So yeah, this is essentially how it works, fairly simple. It can be used to copy any structure attribute, as I've said, to a Jira field. Another simple example could be like, it has a slightly different idea behind it. Let's say we have a bunch of, it's more like automating some of the things. Let's say we have subtasks, and usually subtasks are done by the same person the parent task is assigned to. And in some situation, we would go and manually change that. Or we could set up an automation rule in automation for Jira, or maybe a script runner rule that would take care of that, so that when, for example, the assignee of the parent changes, go and change subtasks. So if you don't need this to happen in real time, or again, we offer another solution for the same kind of thing. So again, it can be useful to write the formula first to understand how you want to do it. In this case, we want to basically just take parent of the parent value of the field, assignee. Let's see how that works. You can see this issue is assigned to admin, and sorry, to Albert, right? And we can see the formula gives us Albert for our subtask. This one is assigned to Chewbacca. We can see it's Chewbacca here. So we can create another effector just to see how that works. And as you create it, you actually don't have to build that formula in advance. If you just know what it's going to be like, you can actually write it right here. So you can just go here and write the same formula. So you don't have to add that column to structure. Assignee, we save it, make sure that it's correct. We want to set it to assignee, and here we want to limit it to subtasks, obviously. We don't want to change that for everything else. Again, save and run. Let's see what that gives us. Again, we can see that it reassigns a bunch of subtasks to a new user. We can apply all. And you can see now our subtasks are assigned to the parent. So again, depending on what metrics you have, what you may want to write back to Jira, you can use it. It works really well in conjunction with our Gantt chart. So let me open that up and show you some useful examples there. Whoop. Again. Oh, again, we haven't discussed it. So the Gantt chart is an extension for structure that allows you to visualize your tasks on the timeline and use it as a more traditional Gantt chart, or we also have some features. Our Gantt chart, let's say, is also very flexible, just like structure is. So you can use it for a number of different scenarios. It can be high-level road mapping. It can be traditional planning. It can be tracking of the progress and trying to understand if you are making it or not based on the current Jira data. Because again, it's visualized based on what you have in Jira. So don't think about it as, you know, Microsoft project. It can be used in many different scenarios depending on your needs. And we keep adding new features to make it even more flexible. So here is the kind of limitation that maybe some of you have already come across. In this example, I have the Gantt chart that is, these tasks are planned automatically. For example, we have these two tasks with a dependency between them. If the first task takes longer, our task that depends on it also gets rescheduled. And these dates, they're stored in the Gantt chart. They're not stored even, they're calculated. And you can see them here. We have the special columns, which are Gantt start, Gantt finish. If you type the name, you will see the available options. The milestone date, the progress calculated by Gantt. And we actually, in version 2.5, we're going to introduce a bunch of other useful parameters that are used in Gantt chart so that you'll be able to see them in structure and then use them with effectors. But in this particular case, what we want is when we see this plan that was produced based on our dependencies, based on the estimates, basically the dates for this task were calculated by Gantt chart. We want to write them back into Jira. And we can do that by creating effectors. Let me double check that we are using, let's use this example. Let's add those effectors. Again, it's fairly straightforward. Set them here. We will want two, one for start date and one for finish date. So we want to map them to actual Jira fields, custom fields that we want to use for start and finish date. We don't want to limit it. We're going to save it for now. And we're going to add another one for the finish date. Finish date. And then again, a custom field in Jira for the finish date. All right, we're going to save it too. So there is a way to run all effectors at the same time. There is this little button here. We have some ideas to maybe allow to choose which one to run once you click it. For now, it's just going to run all of those that you have configured. Again, you see the results for both effectors that are suggested, some finish date changes and start date changes. Again, we can apply all. And as we run it, our Gantt calculated fields are written back into Jira. So now these are Jira custom fields and they've been updated. And you can use it in a number of different scenarios with Gantt. Again, there are lots of different implications. One is this example where we just do some kind of automatic planning based on dependencies. Another common scenario would be to use, our Gantt chart has resource leveling option. So if we look at the resources, let's modify them a little bit. Let's say, let's create some over allocations for these teams. Again, I'm not going into the details of the Gantt chart usage, but for those who've used it, this may be useful. You can see we have a couple of resources that are currently over allocated. So we can try to fix that by running resource leveling feature. It will give us some new plan that it offers. Again, we don't expect it to be always perfect, but imagine it looks fine. You're happy with what was suggested. And as you run resource leveling, it's actually not changing any Jira data at this point. It's adding this leveling delay to our tickets. 26 weeks were added to this task to make sure that there is no over allocation. And now we want to write that back into Jira. So what we do, we just click this button, apply all, and now, okay. Now all those dates are written into Jira. The only caveat right now is that the leveling delay is still there, so we would need to go and reset it for all resources. So now there's no leveling delays added to any of the tasks. They're just shown based on start and finish dates that were written back into Jira. All right, so I hope this gives you the general idea of where you can use this feature. There are several, I think, quite important implications here. So it's by no means it's a replacement for calculated fields, because all the different ways to get calculated fields have their benefits and some disadvantages too. So it all depends on how you want to use it and what you want to use it for. But I think one big thing that is really important for Effectors, it gives the ability to create these calculated fields to people who don't have admin access, because with most tools you would want that. Like if you want to use Script Runner, you would want to add that through the admin section. And you don't need to be able to write scripts, because you can use our formula language, which again is very similar to Excel, to build fairly complicated metrics. And you can do it for your project only. And you have all the freedom you need as a project manager. So you're not kind of tied to your admins anymore to get the important values calculated. It doesn't work in real time. And again, this can be a problem in some cases, but it can also be a benefit sometimes. You have more control when you want to run it, especially if you want to make some massive changes. Maybe you don't want it to keep updating all those fields all the time, and you just want to do it at a particular moment before you want to look at your report, or maybe at the end of the week, you want to write everything that you've been working on for the week back into those custom fields based on your current structure attributes. So again, it depends on what you're looking for, but it's an option, and you can now choose whether you want this to be continuously updated, or maybe some things can be updated once in a while, and then structure is an easy and convenient way to do that. So I also wanted to mention what's coming. So as I've mentioned, for now we have just one option, syncing Jira, syncing attribute back into fields. You can do that with pretty much any field, including status, but status is not as easy to configure. You would need to write a complicated formula that will update the status of the parent based on the status of the children. We want to do a more simplified version of that, like an easy way to define those rules. For those of you who've been using structure a long time, you maybe remember there were synchronizers and all the way to build structures, and there was this synchronizer for status rollup. So we're going to replace that with this effector. Another thing is ability to change links as well, not just field values. So basically, if you build a structure manually, or you build it using one set of links and you want to create new links to reflect that hierarchy, you'll be able to do that. And another thing we are considering right now, it's not planned yet, but again, since currently you can run it manually, we are thinking how you can automate this a little bit. And currently the idea is to maybe integrate with automation for Jira, which has been recently added to Jira. But there are some other ideas. We're going to see what people say, and based on that feedback, we'll think what could be the best approach there. What else? Oh, one thing I wanted to mention before I forget. It's not directly related to effectors, but effectors were one of the things that sort of promoted this. So we now have, we are revamping our YouTube channel. It's still work in progress, but we already have some useful playlists. One is called Feature Discovery. This is where we're going to post some videos about new features. And for example, Effectors video is already there. Some examples with Gantt. So for those of you who are using structure, but don't always have time to look at all the new features, this will be a nice and convenient way to check those out. Or if you are the admin of a big instance and you want to let your users know, maybe this will be helpful for you. For those of you who want to learn more about generators and things like that, we have also this new how-to videos that hopefully will give you a general idea of how automation works, how you can work with data, with the columns, and also transformations. So a little bit of channel promotion, but we hope it's going to be useful for people. Yeah, I think that's all I had for the presentation agenda, and I'll be happy to jump into questions.
Okay, thank you very much right now. Was really a fast overview of everything. So really glad.
I hope it was not too
I'm really
fast.
glad that you could. No, it's quite fine for me. It was good because we were able to see everything in action and not only with a presentation or something like that. So thank you very much. We have a few questions, and I have a few questions as well for you. So if you are fine, we can start. If someone wants to join the talk, just ask. We will try to open your microphone and your webcam as well. So first question is, Gantt finish date, Gantt start date, are Jira custom field?
So, okay, this is, we're also thinking how to simplify it and make it easier for the user to understand. But there are several types of fields. Like I said, our Gantt can be used in different scenarios. So depending on how you want to visualize your task, you can use custom fields. So for example, in this example, it's configured to use Jira fields for the tasks. And the start and end date of this task are defined by values of the custom fields. So if I change the size of the bar, I'm actually changing the finish date. And you could see it changed both here and here. There's a bit of mismatch in, I think, time zone. So it's 3rd of August and 4th of August. But essentially, this is the mode where you just use Jira dates to define start and end date. But there are also other scenarios. So I can probably switch here to automatic scheduling. And in this kind of mode, I'm ignoring the start and finish dates, but I'm using just the task estimate to define where it ends. And for the start, it will depend on dependencies. So for example, if I create a new dependency here, there's a loop dependency. Let me delete this one. Just a second.
No.
Yeah. Okay, let me delete this one, and then I'll delete this one. Because there are 2. Okay, it's too many. Just a second. All right, let's create a new one. So you can see that it got shifted forward. So now it's not using Jira custom field dates. It's just using whatever is calculated by Gantt. And there are many parameters that affect that. So for example, I can say I only want half of the resource to work on it. And what it will mean is that the task will be worked on for twice as long. So again, the finish date gets calculated based on that. And I may want to keep our Gantt in this kind of mode. But I still, once the Gantt gave me the answer, I know that this task will be done, say February 7th. I want to write it back into Jira. And this is where I will use the effectors to write it back into custom fields. But I don't always have to use them.
So
in fact,
this is the solution that you found for having something like a what if scenario for your planning?
It's not the final solution. We still want to do better with what if scenarios. We also are thinking how to kind of, currently you can either have dates calculated by Gantt chart or dates stored in Jira. We want to introduce the concept of storing dates in Gantt, and then you can choose whether you want to sync it or not. So it's work in progress, let's put it that way. So this will help with what if scenarios, and hopefully will just simplify the general kind of workflow, because as you know, with flexibility comes a little bit of confusion sometimes. So we want to make sure that for at least the most common scenarios, everything is more straightforward, and you just configure it once and you use it without thinking what is written where. And
yeah, you have already a lot of settings, so sometimes it happens that you lost the track of the configuration. For me,
I know.
Probably not everyone is like me. Probably they have more skills than me, but yeah, sometimes it happens.
No.
Just a moment. Per tutti, se volete fare qualche domanda a Eugene e Giulia, alzate la mano che vi faccio parlare direttamente, altrimenti scodiamo le domande che abbiamo in lista. Another question. Do you have in roadmap integration with timesheet team and above all single personal capacity defined in Tempo team?
So we considered integrating with Tempo. It turned out that with their API and our data model, integration basically means building our own module to pull that data in first. So currently the plan is to develop this further on our side, better resource management, and then integrate when we have all the data ready. Because we talked with them last year, and well, we wanted to discuss at this summit, but if they have any changes. But the problem was that many things are calculated dynamically in Tempo when it comes to resource allocation, and having it all work together in a nice way was difficult. So it's still an interesting topic for us, but well, it will take us some time to get there. We need to work more on our resource management module first.
Okay, another one, then we switch with Monica that raised her hand. Okay, is it possible to insert a custom URL craft by using strings plus the issue ID, for example, in a formula fields?
Yes, we actually had some customers who's done that, and you can just email me afterwards. My email is just eugene@almworks.com, and I'm sure you guys can share it with everyone after the meeting, right? In the notes or somewhere. Okay. So just feel free to email me directly, and I'll dig it up. We did have someone build this formula where you click the column and it opens a different tab. I think someone integrated it with EasyBI. That was a pretty cool solution where you would click on the tickets and it would show you the EasyBI report
already filtered with item. Yeah. Enza? Sorry. Monica, after you.
Not gonna make question now. Just because of you. Thanks. No, well, I had the same question basically. So it just answered. I have some more questions anyway, but unfortunately, I'm not able to try these nice things that you've shown. But anyway, is structure using the same calendar in the backend that is set in Jira? So if you set a specific working days, is it calculating the planning or the Gantt structure within that calendar?
So if you're talking about
probably she's talking about tempo calendar.
Well, yes, sorry, yes, tempo calendar.
So for the Gantt, we have our own calendars that you can define. Again, okay. That might be actually an easy integration because you just it's currently not the most user-friendly way to do it. It's basically a JSON that defines the calendar, but
okay.
It shouldn't be too difficult to extract the same information from tempo and create a calendar here. That potentially could be done fairly easily, and we can maybe even look into that.
Because I'm referring to the fields that you can use and calculate the timing status in whatever status, and you can switch between the options of working time or normal time. But usually it depends on the way you define, for example, the weekends or maybe specific working time for a specific project. So
for those things, like when we see this number here, we're definitely using the Jira settings, like how many days are in a week, how many hours are in a day. But also when you use formula, you can actually tweak this kind of things. Not everything, but some of them. So again, if you can send us more details on the use case. And actually, this is a thing for everyone. If anyone has any questions, you would love to hear something from us, like any follow-up, any challenging formula that you don't know how to build, please feel free to contact us. You can send it to me directly, or you can contact our support team at support@almworks.com, and we'll be more than happy to help. Because formulas, they are definitely easier than the scripts, but still can be a bit challenging, especially when you start. So our support team is capable and happy to help.
And sorry, another question. Sorry, I don't know if anyone else has other questions, but on the timing status in specific status, is it counting the time in a specific status even if there is a pause in between?
Good question. I think there is a setting that time status. So you can count returns, you can apply some filters so it won't count if it transitioned into that status from the wrong status. If there was a pause, it will count, I think, several, like, for example, pieces. It was in, if it was in progress, then it was done, then it was reopened and became in progress again, it will count these two individual parts and show you the totals. But I may be wrong here. No, I think that this is how it should be. Yes.
So is the total time in that status, even if it was in that status for 3 times, for example. So it sums up the different pieces.
But you can choose this returns only, and then it will only count the ones that were after it got there the second time. So like if we
Okay.
use this example of bug fixing, for example, for the story, we spent some time working on it, we fixed it, we closed it, and this time is not going to be counted if we choose this returns only. And then it was
It's
shown
just the
as
extra
done.
time.
Yeah, then it was reopened, maybe done again, then it reopened again. It will only add those last pieces.
Okay, thanks.
We have some more question for you. So about effectors, are you thinking about implementing some kind of automatic execution at a specific time? Like every day I want my effectors to be run or something like that?
Let's say, yeah, I was waiting for that question. So we are thinking about it, but we do have some concerns in terms of performance, how to make sure that people don't abuse this. Because if some user by mistake,
you can't be sure if they will abuse for sure.
Yeah, and this is how it's like. This is the same with the automation. We spend some time fine tuning it to make sure it's not so easy to break
up
in
everything.
Jira by. We actually have a few more ideas for automation as well, just from the UX perspective, how to make it a little bit easier for the user not to do wrong things. And with Effectors, technically it's possible, but we can talk and discuss. There should be some smart way to do it to prevent people from doing it too much. Like if you have a structure with, and we have quite a few customers who have structures with, let's say, 10 or 20,000 issues. So imagine someone creates the timer for like every minute update. It's going to be a disaster for this instance.
Yeah,
so,
probably. Yeah.
Maybe just give this to admins or something like that. Again, like I said, there might be integration with automation for Jira, and then I don't know if they have timed events, but
yeah, they have.
if they, so that would be a way to set it up.
Just because you talk about time automation, and what about Structure Cloud? You are making a lot of new feature in the cloud version of Structure. It's still ongoing, so the product is not like the server one, and you are releasing a lot of feature in the cloud as well. It's something that you are still working on because there are a lot of practice and a lot of solutions that we want to implement in the cloud version of Atlassian as well, but right now it's quite difficult. Oh, I can see structured Gantt there.
Oh yeah, because it's actually there. So we hope to have the Gantt for cloud ready sometime in July. At least this is the predicted.
Okay.
No commitments, just to be sure. You know, I'm not. This is what our other product told us. We have a product that basically takes your past performance and tries to predict when you're going to be done with new stuff. We can actually, I don't know if you discussed it with Julia, but we can talk about it later. But yeah, we have something already. You can build hierarchies. You have automation in cloud. The big thing we are working on as the next big feature is ability to drag and drop in the cloud, because you can, let's say if we go, for those who are less familiar, you can on the server or data center, you can, let's say, move a story from one epic to the other, and it will change the epic link in the background. So in cloud, it's not available yet, but it's going to be. We expect to have some huge things coming around September at the end of the summer. So it's being actively developed, and like I said, Gantt is also coming.
Wow, nice to know. We have a lot of customers interested in it.
Sweet. That's we'll let you know as soon as something is out and we can discuss that in more details.
If we test something as well, we are available. Another one. Is it possible to retrieve a field value from a linked issue that is not shown in the structure?
No, I'm afraid not. So yeah, we saw this use case a number of times, but for now it's just like there's no way to reference that in a formula. We can think about it, although it's not quite obvious how to do it. But yeah, for now everything has to be in the structure.
One other. There are two more questions. One is a funny one, but I will keep it for the last. Another one is quite a complicated question, so probably will ask the requester to help me. In this moment, there is not a virtual issue, but it's possible to simulate a virtual issue using a fake issue, probably in another project. But if I have a different portfolio structure, which is the best way to manage hypothetical capacities versus real planning?
I think I understand the use case.
Probably me too.
I'm not sure if the person who's asking, is it directly related to Gantt or just structure itself?
I don't know. We'll just ask to Roberto if he's still here. Wait a moment. Roberto is here. Hello to talk.
Okay. Hello, Eugene.
Hey, Roberto.
No, the bot. The problem
Okay.
is, okay, you understand how to manage hypothetical capacity and understand how to can create a simulation, not different scenarios, but manage capacity in hypothetical project.
So for Gantt, we actually have some ideas for allowing people to create like virtual tasks, which are not tasks in Jira, but they just exist in the Gantt, and you can choose the resources you assign them to and see the resource allocation. So you'll be able to play around with it and see, and if you are happy with the plan, you commit it and it creates the task in Jira. If you're just doing it in structure, the one thing I can think of is that, again, if you use formulas, for example, you can try to filter as you do some calculations because as far as I understand, you're trying to basically understand what can be done in a certain period of time, right? Something like that. You can exclude those hypothetical tasks in formulas by just writing the appropriate formula. And get the values without them. Maybe we can do, I mean, it's a large question to answer, and it would be good to understand more details. We can maybe set up a separate call later, and you will explain better your use case, and we'll try to think of what's possible already, and try to think what some of the future features that could be useful for you.
Yeah, I understand your answer, and more or less I make the same solution in the project. But in your roadmap, I see that there are something more or less similar. I want to understand if you have hypothetical date to manage a virtual issue or manage virtual capacity, because in a big project and in the enterprise, it's very complex manage capacity when you have 200 person in teams. So I understand. Okay, you can create a portfolio. SAFE is a good model, a good framework, but when you have a lot of people divided in a lot of teams, and you can manage a different portfolio, you need to understand the capacity. Okay.
Yeah. Let's maybe again, if you can shoot me an email, we can set up a separate call and discuss this in more details.
Add me to this email.
Or yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Fabrizio will be happy to dive into that as well, I'm sure.
I'm a co-worker of Roberto, so yeah, we need it for a lot of different customers are asking some
Yeah, Eugene, Fabrizio and I, we work for the same company, so we have the same problem. Okay.
Sounds good. Yeah, let's discuss it. And for us, it's also important to understand what you guys are looking for, because I can tell you this is not even like designed yet, but again, feedback from you will be essential for
a lot of
designing this.
A lot of customer actually says, okay, but I can add people, I can manage to get another team on that initiative or project and so on. They say it in an easy way. We know that it's not so easy to hire people to make them productive in that project, but yeah, sometimes for a long-term planning, it helps having this kind of feature or stuff.
There's also a new thing we are working on right now. It's, let me see. Let me stop sharing for a second and let me try to find the document.
I kindly ask you if you can share this feedback and discussion when you're gonna do it, because it's really interesting and it can solve a lot of questions that I have in the background and I'm not making. Thanks.
Just a second. Where is it? So we've shown it at the last summit. You might have seen it in the past. It was the product that was called Predictions that kind of evolved to the next level. Let me share my screen real quick. Okay, I'll just share my desktop. Okay, so the idea is that what this product does, it takes some of the past issues in your Jira and looks at them. And of course, there are certain assumptions, right? That the teams are fairly stable and that their productivity is fairly stable. And it maps all the data into future scope. And it gives you the prediction of when you're going to be done with a particular scope of work. So I think this is somewhat related to what you're talking about, because, well, you have several options, right? You can adjust the scope or you can adjust the capacity of the teams. You can add more people to the team to get things done faster. So this kind of analytics can help you make those decisions. And again, it's driven by historical data. And it tries to analyze the average team throughput. As you create new scope, for example, if you create, let's say we are operating on the epic and story level, as you create epics which don't have any stories, it will try to predict the undefined scope, again, based on the past experience. So I think this might also be similar to what you are looking for. So would be definitely interesting to discuss.
This is really interesting.
Okay, let's keep talking. We actually plan to have the kind of prototype ready by the summit, but since the summit got canceled, we decided to spend a little bit more time working on it before we do the early access program. But you're more than welcome to participate. And we actually can start the discussion now because there are some working things already. So. And if anyone is interested in the audience as well, feel free to reach out and we can show in more details what this thing does.
Yeah.
Because one thing in our experience, when you're planning a large project, doing it on like individual people basis, it's sometimes unrealistic. Like you have to go a little bit higher, like operate in terms of teams and large features versus like micromanaging and deciding on smaller tasks. If you are talking about, let's say, half a year or 1 year scope. But anyway, let's talk.
Let's discuss together, yeah.
Topic.
Because a lot of time, companies, customers ask to make micromanagement in a long-term planning, but it's not something that I like or something that actually is possible from my point of view.
Yeah, I agree.
We have another big question. It is, may you please let Julia speak with us?
Thank you very much for this question. I'm more on organizational side today, just preventing Eugene from getting too boring. Well, guys, I promise next time, if you liked our solutions and our speech, and if we get to be invited to next KanBar, I will speak about something too.
Well, thank you very much. Okay, I've just finished the questions that I had in my queue, and okay. So someone else has other question? Someone else want to ask something directly? So want to raise the hand? Feel free to do it. Okay, seems that actually we are at the end of this experience. So Simone probably got stuck in another call, probably. We are going to enable everyone webcam. So feel free to chat, if you want to say hi, if you want to say something. We will add everyone to this small cheers from remote. Okay, just a moment. Don't be shy. Before closing and getting this start, thank you very much, Eugene. Thank you very much, Julia. Thank you, ALM Works, for this opportunity. It was a pleasure having you here in this KanBar.
Likewise.
Your help is really appreciated during the rest of the year. You really help us a lot, and having you here is really, 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 really fun. And thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. I think it's a brilliant format. I love it.
We can do it more, no problem at all. Oh, Monica joined us.
Hi.
People are leaving, so let's wait. Alessandro.
Ciao.
Hi, Alessandro. Ciao.
Oh.
So it's time to you to, oh, good. Finally, someone here. It's time to try your Italian, Eugene.
I can get one now, but
in Italiano.
1:30 already. I can switch to beers and wines too, I guess.
I already switched.
Well, it's still kind of early. I still
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
have tea.
Yes, yeah, for you, if you have beer at this hour,
It's
probably.
almost empty. Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Julia, you are not around the tea time, so you can actually drink something else.
Yeah. I guess so.
Oh, there's Red Hat. I read something about story with the Red Hat in the comments in the chat. I think that's probably related to Mike. Nice hat.
We can see it now.
Mi sono dimenticato di dirlo, finito il KanBar riceverete comunque una mail con tutto il materiale e i link eventuali per restare in contatto anche con i nostri speaker. I was just saying to everyone that we will receive a small feedback email with everything inside, sorry.
Perfect. I can actually send you over the links to the YouTube channel.
Yeah, sure.
I think this might be helpful for people. So.
Yeah, for sure. I just saw a lot of video. Probably I've already subscribed to the channel as well.
Nice.
Yes, I did. I wrote in the community. I don't know where. I think I've explored all the Confluence pages where you have rules and things to make the formulas and whatever. I saved them all. I have them as bookmarks. So
nice.
Really, yeah, I spent that, well, interesting 2 weeks, I would say, to learn this thing.
Just remember that sharing is caring.
I'm just sharing the concepts, not.
But you're also free to get back to us. So if you are stuck with something, don't get frustrated. Just, you know,
yeah,
send it over and we'll try to help.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
bye bye.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
To the next KanBar. Just remember to register for the next KanBar. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.